late tonight due to technical difficulties, so I'm going to go quickly into our cocktail so we can get right to our guests. Nikki is not with us tonight; she is away, and Elaine and I are taking over just for the evening. We chose the cocktail called Berry United, and we chose that because this case we have two different families coming from travesty and tragedy, and they're coming together united to bring justice. So that drink is garnished with blackberry, 2 ounces of orange flavored triple sec, 1 ounce of lemon juice, a half ounce of blackberry liqueur. Combine, shake, and enjoy. So moving on. Sorry, that's quick, but we really want to make the time for our guests tonight. Tonight we have the second part of the Billy Scott story. He is wrongfully convicted in the murder of Lisa Buckley, which he's been accused of. And speaking on his behalf tonight are his father and his brother. So coming on, we have Guy Scott and David Scott. Say hi, gentlemen.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Good. How are you?
So you saw last week we kind of introed the case and we really just didn't know a lot. We didn't have a lot of information. Now you guys have armed us with a lot more. And what we found is that David was actually at the party with his brother Scott that night.
Yes.
Nikki and I, who's not here tonight, but she and I had a long conversation with you, Mr. Scott, on the phone, and I feel like it would just be powerful if you could share that story. What really happened there. We know he went to the party. We know he was with his fiance, right? And David, you were with your girlfriend that night as well?
Yes. Yeah, that'd be it was my girlfriend at the time. We got married shortly after that.
Okay. Did you find go ahead.
Now, I wasn't at the party.
Right. No, you were not. No. But you have details from that party.
Yes, ma'am.
So was there any point in that time of the party, David, that you found that there was a large loss of Billy? Like he's gone for a whole,
Never.
Okay.
He was never gone. Billy would have never left his truck because of the way that he was about his personal items. He would, and his tapes and stuff, he would have never left it wide open for people to just ransack it and went through it. That ain't the way he was.
Mm-mm.
And that's where we were. We were all standing around listening to the music coming out of that truck.
Mm-hmm.
And where that fight broke out at that gate, it ain't 25, 30 feet away. It wasn't that far away from his truck.
Right. Now, some other pieces of information we found was that I lost his name right now. The gentleman that allowed for the party to be on that land, Don Sutton. Okay. What we learned is that Don Sutton had recently broken up with Lisa Buckley. So again, we are not accusing anyone here, but if you put Billy up against other people, perhaps the Johnson family, which we're going to talk heavily about, and the issues between the two, if you put them up against those guys, Don Sutton, the Johnson family, Billy had no motive. He actually stood up for Lisa on many occasions.
Yes.
So
you'll actually see that in the police report, the 1-74.
Mm-hmm.
What I refer to as the 1-74 police report, but it's 182 pages.
Mm-hmm.
And that document by itself will show a lot that your questions that you were asking about.
Right.
That 174 is very informative.
Right. We got our questions answered, but I think at this point, what we want to do is let the viewers know. There's power in numbers. People need to know that there was corruption here, that there was wrongful conviction. He had no motive. She was actually a friend of his who he stood up for many times. We didn't talk too much about the Johnson family before, but we're going to introduce them at this point. Basically, they were a family who, for lack of better words, kind of ran the area, maybe bully style or just kind of mean.
They picked on women. They did a lot of that. You know, they didn't stand up to the men too much, which there ain't too many men in that county, but
Mhm.
they're more always beating on women.
And that's
And-
something my son Billy wouldn't tolerate. If he seen something like that, he'd intervene.
Right. And what we know is Lisa at the time had dated two of the Johnson family members, the male family members, right?
Yes.
So, and we know that one of them, we do know for a fact, because I think his name's actually in the police reports, Robbie. It, she had indicated that he beat her or he abused her at one time.
That would be Ronnie Johnson.
Yeah. Or
Not
Ronnie
Rob-
or Ron.
Not Robbie, but Ronnie.
Oh,
Ron.
Ronnie. Okay. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
But we know that Billy stepped in. I think you told us this on the phone that Billy stepped in because she had come to your house one day while you were mowing the lawn. You want
Yep.
to tell us about that?
Yes, ma'am. I was in the front yard mowing the lawn, and a girl that I've never seen before came in and asked for Billy and David's help. And I looked at her, and my wife looked at her and said, "What happened to your nose and your face?" She said, "My boyfriend beat me up." And my wife made a remark by saying, "You need to find another boyfriend." And that's the first time I ever seen Lisa Barclay, but she was beat up pretty well. And she was looking for protection from me, for Dave or Billy.
Mm-hmm. Right. And after that, didn't Billy intervene as a result of that? He kind of went over and told him to leave her alone.
Yes, how'd that go?
Well, what had happened right after that, I had found out that he was at a hotel over in Richmond, Indiana. And I went over to the hotel and found out what room he was in. I beat on the door and he wouldn't open it. So I kicked the door in and went in on him and roughed him up a little bit. And then told him, what do you leave Lisa alone. This is getting old hat, man, that you keep doing this and we have to keep intervening. And it just started getting worse from there. Sometimes I felt that maybe we shouldn't have stuck up so much. Maybe she would be alive, but I don't know. They were hell bent on doing what they did.
Well, the Johnson father, which one?
Hang on just for a second. Your audio is kind of choppy all of a sudden. Maybe move around a little or something. You're kind of
A
getting,
little closer.
it's just
Yeah,
kind of,
Can you hear me now?
yeah, but it's like got some feedback coming in. I don't know if it's your location or what. Let's try maybe speaking now.
Okay, the father, what was the Johnson's father?
One's Lisa Johnson's dad is Dwight Johnson. Ronnie Johnson's dad was they all
Yeah,
had
hang on. It's really rough to hear you because it's like crackling sounds and digitally sounds. So
Oh man.
lots of technical difficulties tonight.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you move where you're at? Maybe the location in the room that might help.
Closer to the window.
Hmm.
Is that sounding any better?
A little better, but it's not perfect. So, um, try talking and see if it.
I'm going to move over by the window here. We are out in the middle of the country.
Yeah, I figure poor reception sometimes happens.
Can you hear us any better now? Over by
Yeah,
the
a
window?
little. I mean, I think we're just gonna have to deal with it, but it's better than what it was. So
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Is this a little bit better?
ooh. Yeah, I mean, we can hear you. It's just very digitally. You'll hear it when you play it back, but I think we'll be okay. Okay, so you were talking about how you went to where he was and
Mhm.
roughed him up a little, told him to leave her alone.
Yeah, and he was in there with another girl in the hotel room. And I told her, I go, if you don't want to end up like Lisa, I go, you might want to get away from him. And then after that, he went and told his dad and his dad's brother Dwight, and that's when we got into it down at the in New Paris at the carry out. They come down there and surrounded me and Billy. They jumped out of the car with lawnmower blades wrapped in plastic, and we got into a big brawl over that. And,
Why don't you back away from the camera a little? Maybe that'll help. I mean, we can hear you, but it's really staticky.
Okay.
So there you go. That should work.
Yeah, the dad wanted somebody to pay for that door.
Yeah, they wanted somebody to pay for that door. And I said, I ain't paying for the door. Control your son. You know, that never happened.
It possibly is your ceiling fan that's running. So, because it's like this weird crackling sound.
All right, they're shutting it down.
Yeah, sometimes.
Is that any better?
Oh yeah, that's a little bit better. Maybe that's what it was.
All right, good.
It's something.
And you know, just like another incident, I got Ronnie Johnson's cowboy boots that he was wearing that night. Dad's got them in a bag. We've had them ever
Okay,
since.
yeah, we're not hearing you any better. Like, there's literally this weird static sound. Over and over, repeatedly static sound.
Is it from my end?
I don't think so. Why don't you mute your mic just in case and see? I don't think so. I think it's on their end. This is up top.
It's almost like something's beeping.
Yeah, well, it's like a static. It's a feedback. Something, it's most likely the connection is what the problem is.
We got everything off and
But like you said, you're in out in the country, so it tends to happen. Bad connections. We'll just try to bear with it. So you were saying that there was another issue. Now I remember there was an issue where the Lisa Johnson had run over Lisa Buckley in a parking lot.
Yep. That's she had pulled up and she was getting ready to run her over. And my brother just happened to be there at the right time and took his car and placed it in front of Lisa Johnson's car. Or she was going to run her over. She did get broke her foot. And she was gonna
Right. She'd ran over her ankle or her foot or whatnot. And then I remember it being documented that she was pulled over, but with a case of beer, open case of beer, and a minor in the car,
Yeah.
and she was released.
Yeah.
So this is where we want to talk about with the viewers, the corruption in Preble County. Now, we're not going to get too heavy into that. Maybe that'll be a series later, but that's where it ties into this case for Billy. For some reason, I mean, this day and age, if you got pulled over with an open case of beer and a minor in your car, you're going to jail, but back then, for some reason, that didn't happen. And maybe there were deals between the Johnsons and some very corrupt police officers.
That's
Who knows?
correct.
That's
Yeah.
exactly the Preble County
Mhm.
Sheriff's Department.
Right.
They've been corrupt for 70-some years.
And I mean, I think any of the viewers can look it up and just they can see for themselves that Preble County has a long list of corruption charges and accusations against them.
Yes.
Yes, they do.
There's so many families that's been wrecked by them. It's unbelievable. It's just unbelievable what they've done to the Buckleys. You know, what type of person, and this is Frank Ford that done this, is going to convince the Buckleys Billy Scott did it, and then he goes and lives with the family. He lived with them. And I'm thinking, so he tells them.
Frank Ford lived with them, or
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, he did.
And I'm thinking,
Wow.
he said, well, you got to be afraid of the Scots. Well, guess what? I left. I was in Tennessee. I've been in Tennessee for 32 years. Dad left and went to Florida. Well, who were they afraid of? We weren't there. It was just Frank Ford lived with them, so they could not get any information. And that's what that was.
Right. And they were angry, grieving parents, and they
Yes.
hired someone to harm Billy. And I know viewers, if they're gonna listen to something like this, they're gonna go look up these things and research. So I just want to be responsible and let them know you're gonna find charges, but they were dropped. Billy did defend himself against somebody that tried to attack him.
Yeah, I was
But
there.
why?
Too.
Mhm. You were what? I'm sorry.
I was at that shooting too, and so was my dad.
I was there too, yes.
Wow. Okay. His fiance at the time, Jenna, was injured. So really nasty situation. But again, why that happened was because the Buckleys were given false information. And
Exactly.
I think any parent is going to be pissed off enough to try and harm someone. We all know how that goes as a parent.
Right.
But if they were given the wrong information, they made a terrible mistake. And I think we're very lucky that Billy is alive
Yes.
Yes.
based on that situation. I know now the Buckleys have obviously understood that what they were getting was incorrect and have changed their views, which is why we talked about two families coming together. But the only what's left is the, in my mind, the Johnson family. I mean, they had direct motive, absolute direct motive. Two of those guys were dating Lisa, and the injuries to her were so incredibly just overwhelming when I read them. She was beaten, raped, maliciously attacked, and dragged to the water. I don't see, I don't know. If you're a friend of a female, like Billy was a friend of hers and defended her to people, why would you even have rage like that to harm her? You wouldn't. But the Johnsons possibly had. Lisa Johnson trying to run over Lisa Buckley, that gives you huge motive. Do we know why? I think I remember one of you telling me why she was angry. Due to her brothers dating her, or I think that was what Lisa Johnson was angry with Lisa Buckley because she was dating her brothers. Was that what it was?
Maybe I remember hearing something like she slept with two of them, but there's a one that she didn't sleep with, and that was pissing somebody off.
Yeah, that's in page 35 of the 1 to 7
Mhm.
report.
Right. So there was just this building of animosity. Now let's move forward because we know these are the key players here. Why was there no DNA? Let's talk about that DNA for the viewers so they can really understand here how corrupted this county was. The time of the murder, they find the body. They say they don't. They say they take some DNA samples at that time, right? But then later in November, what did they find? I think you guys told us. What was it that they found?
They found 6 green blankets in the barn, and on those 4 blankets in the barn, and that was on November the 6th of 90. And when they sent them out to have them tested, they found no semen that belonged to Billy, pubic hairs, or head hairs. Okay, that's when they stopped. They knew for sure when they found the blankets, well, we got him. Well, there was nothing there, and those blankets come up missing. And the only reason those blankets would have come up missing is because they found out
Mhm.
whose DNA and
Right.
whose pubic and head hairs were on those blankets.
Right, and that's really what my belief is after hearing the story. So for viewers, Lisa Buckley was murdered July 7th, I believe, is what they.
7 days, yeah.
Okay, and fast forward in November of the same year, someone miraculously finds blankets,
Yes,
but they have no DNA that belongs to Billy on them.
right.
So,
They stopped their investigation.
mhm,
And the hairs weren't the same as Billy's.
right. So that was it. No other person was tested. No other person was questioned. They just simply said Billy did it, and that's it.
That's it, and there was nothing to present to the 12 jurors, the novice jurors, that implicated Billy in anything. There was nothing. The only thing that the Preble County authorities had at that particular time was Tony Young on the stand. We didn't know who he was. and to get the indictment was Gary Stephen Heath. And then Jason Burkhart. That's the two people they had to testify. Tony Young said he thought, he guessed, he assumed it was Billy that he seen that night, 30 feet away in pure darkness. And then we find out later who Tony Anthony Young was and Jason Burkhart, where they were getting deals from the Preble County authorities.
Right.
But,
And
but
there,
go ahead.
there's actually YouTube footage of the recantments of some people.
Yes,
Some people
everybody.
recanting those statements.
Yes, everybody got involved has recanted and told what the deals were.
They were given deals so that they could get on their own separate charges, and then later recanted those statements.
Yes,
So,
yes.
but again, I mean, nowadays where we are, there is DNA evidence. I know that you guys have involved the OIP, the Ohio Innocence Project, and they're currently waiting for DNA to be tested. Correct?
Yes, ma'am, we're waiting for that to come back. And what the law professor, Mark Gotsey, who helped put John Gotti away up in New York, he said we could and should go to the FBI. Well, for a law professor to say that, why haven't we done that?
Well, a lot of times FBI will only jump in when it's state to state or trafficking, stuff like that. Not typical
Well-
murders or rape.
Well, he made that statement after he seen what the hit and all that went down. He's seen the whole story at that time. I have presented every document possible where a blind person could see that they put a hit on my son and it backfired on them. Mr. Mark Gotti, as a law professor, seen very well what I had presented to him was facts. And a couple of the lawyers said there's absolutely no doubt, Mr. Scott, they put a hit on your son. And it backfired.
And I do feel strongly that was the situation because they had to cover their tracks. They made a really bad decision by not testing DNA or not, doing the right thing investigation wise. So they had to fight back, retaliation.
Yeah. Well, it's like this. As far as the prosecutor, Rebecca Ferguson, it's like it wasn't the term that they use, prosecutorial misconduct. She broke the law, they broke the law, and they know they broke the law. It's criminal what they did, and I think it's borderline a RICO Act.
There's enough involved there. It is RICO.
Possibly, yeah.
Well, there were so many people involved. There were so many people involved in it. Lawyers.
You see that list I put on there? That's
Yeah, your audio is getting bad, really bad again. It's just a weird, it's almost like static coming through.
I think it's there. I mean,
Hopefully it doesn't come back from there.
Everything is silent here.
That's weird. It's a creepy sound too. I guess you'll hear it when we play it back, when you see it later on YouTube. But so now, where is the OIP with the DNA testing?
Okay, we're
Where's
waiting.
that at?
Yeah, we're waiting for the results, and it's been going on like 6 months, and that seems to me.
it's December. Yeah, December.
Was it December? Yeah, December the 2nd. Yeah.
Of this year or?
December of last year.
Last year, yeah.
2022.
Okay. So that's when they took it, but they haven't tested it yet, or?
Well, God only knows. They went to the correctional facility and took more blood from Billy, which a third or fourth time a sheriff shows up from the Preble County Sheriff's Department, which that was kind of weird, we thought. And he introduced himself. He says he needs more blood samples. And my son Billy said, well, who are you representing? Where are you from? He says, Preble County Sheriff's Department. Well, my God, what does the Preble County Sheriff's Department want for another vial of blood?
Yeah, that's bizarre. Why would they want that?
Right.
Um,
Well, supposedly they took it to the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation, where they do DNA testing in London, Ohio, I think. But hopefully, when he left Ross Correctional Institution and took those samples. I hope he went north straight there instead of back to Preble County, for God's sake.
The audio is bad. I mean, I understand you, but like when you hear this, you're gonna see it was bad. The most staticky, weird thing I've ever heard in my life.
That's crazy.
It's like
It's-
something
it's-
cutting in. You ever heard of CB
I was gonna
radio?
say
It's like a CB radio cutting in over you.
it's almost like somebody doesn't want you to talk.
Well, I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, it's literally
This-
scrambling you.
This is
Why don't you guys try moving to a different room or something? Because when you hear this, you're gonna be really weirded out by it. It's literally like a CB radio or something coming in over you.
Go towards the front door, Dad. Let's go towards the front door. You just walk right on outside. We're out here in God's country now.
Yeah. Well, hopefully he'll step in because this sound is awful.
Is it still sounding bad now? We're all the way outside away from
It
everything.
is literally like a CB. Oh wait. Oh my God, it stopped.
Really? Hope it sounds better. We're outside with the crickets.
Well, I think we're a little bit better now.
That's good.
It's still slightly digital, but not bad. So, again, can we go back? Where is like how far or how close is the OIP to getting that DNA tested?
your guess is as good as mine. I have no.
I think they're waiting until we all
Yeah.
die.
Yeah, I think they're waiting until we all die, like my son says.
Oh, possibly.
They are scared to death because they know that this ain't a silver or gold
It's a major
lawsuit. This is a major platinum lawsuit. That's
Well, yeah. I mean, if they find that he really was not his DNA, then they're in big trouble. That means
Right.
he didn't do it.
right.
I can't understand. This seems so so basic, so easy to, why would the court system stop something like this? Well, we know why. Money, they don't want to pay it out. But
Yeah.
you would think that there are other projects like other innocence types projects that would fight, 32 years is an awful long time for something that didn't really happen.
Yeah, 30,
It's a lifetime.
yeah. 33 years going on.
That's just terrible. So there was a lot of messages about speculation of where the blankets went, because to this day we don't know where the blankets are, correct?
Well, here's what happened here when we were sitting in the courthouse in the you have a display table, you got exhibit table. You had 4 blankets laying there that had no relationship to Billy Scott, but yet they were laying there. And then when they put Frank Ford on the stand, the so-called detective, he took and they asked him, when you got a phone call on November the 6th of 90, what did you do? Well, I went to the barn and I found 4 green blankets. And what did you do with them, Mr. Ford? Because I bagged them and tagged them. And at the same time, he was gesturing with his hand towards the table where the blankets were. First of all, the exhibit table shouldn't have had no blankets on it because there was no relationship between them blankets and Billy. They already proved that, but they failed to test them for who they did belong to. And then they had a couple other things laying there. I think a bottle and a piece of paper, but they kept gesturing to the jurors as if they had some sort of evidence. Those were 12 novice jurors. They had no idea what was going on. They had no idea that Tony Young was lying. They didn't know
Right.
They didn't know that my son had already shot.
Right. And see, that's how juries work, though. They base their findings off of the evidence presented to them. So if they're being told lies, that's what they're going to base their evidence or their opinion on.
Exactly.
Your audio is getting so bad again. I think we're going to have to just reconvene on this tonight. Something just doesn't want us to talk, when we get off of here, maybe you can go back and watch it again and you'll hear exactly what we were hearing. And the viewers, It's terrible. It's I don't know. Every time you start telling the story, it's like somebody's putting a scanner over your voice or
Well,
static.
it's almost like I can believe that.
Well, this is a different
Yeah,
phone. This is Alan's phone. It ain't my
yeah,
phone.
I
right.
want to, hey, I want to try something.
Okay.
I want Mr. Guy to back up
Mm,
away from the camera.
okay.
Guy, back up.
Mm.
Okay.
David,
Yeah.
David, you come up to the camera and talk.
Let's see if you talk.
Okay, here. I'm up there talking now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, it's not any better. Yeah, it's not.
Nah,
No,
yeah.
that's weird. Weird.
I'm wondering.
We're gonna find another way. We will reconvene this possibly next week and find another way to get this audio clearer, or we'll figure it out. We have some ideas.
Can I ask you this? Have you
Yeah.
talked to Crystal Warren?
Yes, we've been talking to everybody, and we got a lot of information, but unfortunately, we can't hear you very well. So that's what's kind of messing us up tonight. But yes, we do. We have a lot of information from everyone that you've sent us to, and everybody's been great. So,
Okay. Did you receive a copy of the 1-74 police report?
yes, we got that. Mhm.
Oh, great.
Lots of amazing information in there, and yeah.
Yeah, that should have been presented to the jurors so they could have took it in and read it and went through it and they would have seen right there.
Well, it should have been had he had a better attorney,
Yeah,
it would have been presented to the court
Yeah.
because there was information. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
he told my son many a times to ask this question, to ask that question, and then he finally looked at my son and said, "This is my bread and butter. I'm not going to hang myself."
Mhm. Yeah, public defenders generally don't fight real hard because they
Yeah.
just want to make their paycheck.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Hattie had a really, attorney that a vicious, a shark, somebody that wanted to fight. This
A
may have
private
went very
attorney.
differently. Yeah, it would have been.
I like what you girls said the other night about, there's no way that Billy could have left the party without Jenna knowing, did this to Lisa, cleaned all up, come back, joined the party, and nobody never seen him leave.
Exactly.
Anything. That was so great when I heard y'all say that. I was like, my
I
God.
believe that truly because my reading everything, going through everything myself, and finding that he went, he's doing his thing at the party, and he's with his fiance. They're saying he had to have left for about an hour, beat someone viciously, raped them, washed off. Now he's possibly going to have scratch marks on his chest, and then went back and climbed in bed with his fiance at the end of the night. Come on now. You're trying
I
to
don't
pitch him
have-
as a monster. That's something only a monster would do.
Well,
And
look,
Billy Scott was just a young man. I mean,
But look who made up that story.
the
well, of course. Of course.
the prosecutor, Rebecca Ferguson, was, oh my God, you talked about a nasty, vulgar person.
Mm,
She came up with the 6-count indictment, which is, I think I read them off to you the other day, and they dropped 2 of them and got him on 4. But
wow.
it's unbelievable, but yet it happened.
Yeah, audio is getting really bad again. You guys are going to be blown away when you hear this, when you go back and hear it, because it's crazy. Every time we start talking a lot about, the wrongdoing here, the audio gets like literally somebody's blurring your voices out with static. It's
Maybe
crazy.
Well,
I
when
don't think it's the phone.
when can we get it together again? As far as we'll just have to use the phone, I guess, to talk.
Yeah, why don't we
Yeah.
talk over the next few days privately? I'll chat with you guys in a little bit of a techie, and we'll find a way to make this work. Okay, we'll get you
Yeah.
back on.
Yeah, make a
Okay.
list.
Most definitely.
Make a list, both of you, and I'll answer anything you want.
Absolutely,
Okay.
we'll have you back next week. Okay, if you guys are up for it.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
in between there, we'll talk about technology, see what we could do as far as this audio. All right,
Yep.
gentlemen, thank you. I want you to go
Thank
watch
you
this
so
on
much.
the replay. Watch
Okay.
this on the replay tonight because you're going to hear the sounds we're hearing.
Okay, thank you, lady.
Well, thank you so much. We'll be in touch.
All
Yes,
right,
sir.
you
Thank
too.
you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, we're just gonna get out of here. It's kind of creepy sounds and stuff, but we'll get it together next week. I promise everybody. And Nikki will be back, our fearless leader. So
Yes.
I think everybody just have a good night.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.